Welcome to Trading Lounge and the daily US stocks for Wednesday, October the 12th, and I owe you an apology because I didn't do the video yesterday and it was a genuine mistake. I just assumed that the bond market was closed. I just assumed that the rest of the market was closed. So yeah, but look, I think apart from that, everything is pretty much going on track, and just starting with the SPY here because it's because it's a nice and clean chart here, and I just want to, and then we'll have a look at the S&P and then into stock. So as far as the crow flies, we've been looking for wave 1 low, and now we've got wave A. I haven't had time to count this up there. At the top may be in, or it may have another little push up there. It might be just a wave 4, but in one way or another we'll be looking for a B wave and then a C wave in 5 waves, and then we'll be coming down into the third wave, so wave 1 and wave 2. Now the only caveat within this is that I don't think it's the case, but we could put wave 1 here. I'm just being prepared so we don't get caught out. Okay, so wave 1 here, an A wave here, a B wave here, and then the C wave here or here for this. So we need to look at how to handle that situation as well. So what would happen if that was the case? Then if that was wave C, or even up, let's just assume, it looks a little bit corrective, but let's just assume over here that at some point we're going to get 5 waves down here, and it's going to bounce off that current low at that point. So when it bounces off that low, it's going to leave 3 waves to the upside before it comes down again at that point. So in that instance, then you would look to short under the B wave, the ABC, and definitely under the low there, and that's the way we could handle that. If this is up here and this is over here and this is here, then the B wave would come back. Well, let's just assume that the top is in there. I haven't counted it, but let's just assume that the top is in there, and there can certainly be another little high, but that means that we would pull back to the 50-60% retracement level here. So we don't need to do anything just yet. We just need to be a little bit patient. So it would come down in 3 waves, and then it would move up from that point, up, coming up that side. So in that case, once it does come down here and then finds its way back up, because as a B wave it shouldn't come down to the low here, that would only be wave 1 doing that, so the B wave will be a little bit higher. But that also leaves, in terms of shorting later on, it will also leave, well, of course we short this low, but we would also look to, in this move to the upside here, this low here, once the market comes down here, then this low here, the B wave, that confirms that this is an ABC correction. It just confirms it at that point, because confirmation is important. You can take risks, but you need to know that you are taking a risk, and if something's not confirmed. Yeah, the other point here too is that depending on where the B wave comes into play, sometimes it's quite nice to look at it like this and put the line through here. And when we're coming, how I've got this one down here under the low here, what you're looking for here is a classic trading levels pattern to the downside. So it will come down and bounce off the level, come through, find that low, use the second low. If it goes back above the level, use that one over there for that. And it's the same with trend lines as well. If we have an ABC up here, and the C wave might be a bit lazier, so when this comes down through here, and this is the same for stocks as well, I'm just showing it here, then we would come down. It would have that process there. Now sometimes because of the wave structure you can get a second retest, so you need to be careful about where you put your stop. Now the safe trade is here. Now, of course, you could do, doesn't matter what you do, as long as you know what you're doing. So you might see 5 waves coming down here, right? So then you look for the 61.8% here. So you could short here based on that 5-wave structure. You could also confirm this move up here being in 3 waves. So it'll be an ABC. You could short the B wave. If this whole structure up here is on less volume than the move down, then that also confirms that this move is corrective, because all corrections are on lower volume. So, you know, you can work the tops here too. You can do anything that you want, of course. So it's just that you need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and, you know, when, and all those sorts of things. So I'll clean all this mess up, but basically I just wanted to have a little bit of a sort of a powwow about that, because, you know, we are looking at being in wave 1 to wave 2. So we will be going into a third wave. And the third wave should be at least the length of wave 1, if not longer than wave 1. So yeah, and you can kind of see how this top here is here. You know, I think studying that will give you a little bit of an idea how to handle this over here for this. And I thought this was interesting here too, because I don't think that's counted right, actually. Because I did notice on, let me just have a look here. I was looking on the TradingView platform here, and I was noticing that just on a 2-minute chart here. Oh yeah, no, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, because we had, I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth, fifth. It's okay. Sorry. Just take that away. But anyway, studying this top here is good, because that's kind of what's going to happen over here for this, you know. Okay, so for the SPY here, much the same. I don't need to go into a lot, but this is just to show you how I've got it counted. I haven't looked at the NASI, but whatever happens, we need to be short below this low here. Like, as I just mentioned, you know, we may be able to use this in some different way, but I think we've got the A wave here, the B wave here, and the C wave up here. Okay, so if you can count 5 waves in the C wave, you know, shorting in the 5th wave at the top of the 5th of the 5th of the 5th, and also shorting to the downside. We've also got this, this is group 2 here, so it wants to sort of poke itself up into group 2, which becomes a little bit sort of interesting, really, because, you know, when it comes up here, it'll probably be the 3rd wave, the 4th wave, and the 5th wave here, and battling to find support on top of this level. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But basically what I'm saying is using the 3650 as a retested resistance to get the short trade in here. You need to be building in here, and basically from this high here to this low here, wherever that case is, that will probably be it'll either be 5 waves, which sometimes is handy, and then you'll have your ABC correction from that point, or you'll get the same kind of top as we got over here, where we get these series of 1s and 2s, 1s and 2s, and 1s and 2s. So you got to kind of figure out which one you're going to get. The 5 waves down, like this is 5 waves down here for a C wave in a way. It's like an ABC. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it comes down, then it'll come back, and then down. I mean, so you just got to kind of figure out what you've got and how you're going to handle that, because you want to capture that, but you don't want to get caught out on these rallies. And this is the same for the stocks as well. So with Apple here, I'm looking down as an impulse wave in line with the S&P as wave 1 and 2 here, as I'm looking at all that as the A, the B, and the C wave here for the 2, and then 1 and 2. Bit of a journey down here, but putting wave 3 down here, wave 4 here, and then looking at wave 1 and 2 here, 3, 4, 5. The reason I'm pointing this out for is because we'll have 5 waves down here, and then we're going to have a big move back. Right, so is it possible we could just cascade lower? Sure, it's possible, but just being mindful of this You know, it's always typical, it's never in a straight line. So we'll count the 5 waves in detail with all the markets, and we'll come to a consensus of what the low is, and then we'll just have to be mindful at that stage, you know. But I think this is what we're going to get. It'll be something like this, you know. I'll just go to the tick chart, this is 1000, we'll just go to 100 just to look at this in a little bit more detail. So yeah, so I've done this one here as, I could put wave 4 here, I could do that, but I just wanted to make ourselves aware of what's happening here. So in this case with the S&P, we got wave 1 over here, and we talked about having it over here. So in this case here, we could look at it as an A, B and C for the A wave, and A, B and C here for the B wave. That's not a very good B wave, is it? It's I'm not dyslexic, I'm just lazy mentally, or try to multitask, doing too many things at once, and skip the details. But so yeah, it could be that sorry, I meant to put it like this. So it could be like this here. We could have this as the ABC. So any breach of these lows here, it's always nice to just find out where the 50-60% retracement level is from here, because that would be supportive of any B wave in this instance here. So that's the 61.8%, and we can look at that also being the B wave here with the C wave coming up here further for this. So yeah, just you know, it's working across the 140 area here, as you can see, and doesn't really want to leave it. We've got group 1 above and group 2 below. That's the support. So this is basically whatever you do, whatever decision that you make within that space, you need to really sort of go the distance and hold it through that space. So you know, if you were short here, then you need to hold it up through this point somewhere. You know, it shouldn't find support on 143, the top of group 1. It can come up above, right, but shouldn't find support on it at that point. But if it does get a classic trading levels pattern on top of 143, then you would have to exit that short trade at that point. So anyway, just give it a little bit of time. So I just wanted to, you know, really just look at both of these situations. This B wave here could also get a little bit more complicated, because normally if wave A is simple, then wave B is complex. So we could get something like this here and then up at that point too. So just give it a little bit of patience, and like, because you know, when we looked at the S&P there for a moment, you know, it hasn't really come back for its B wave yet, you know. So that means that it'll probably do that in the off hours a bit. Okay, so that's Apple. NVIDIA's the same. Now, NVIDIA's quite weak, so it'll be a bit of a struggle for it to get back up to its 50-60%, but who knows, it might have some sort of announcement and surprise me, you know. So I think that could be a little wave 4, or could have a top in. I haven't pulled any of these apart, just haven't had the time. But I know that we're sort of looking for that situation, you know, and we can short under the B wave once it comes in. But if this just drops here, then we need to be short under these levels here. Yeah, I don't know if it'll come all the way back up there. We'll probably go up to probably 123 at the top area, because that's group number 3 is group 1 of the 120 minor level. So 1, 2 and 3 minor level, minor group 1, and then we got 1, 21, 22 and 23, which is subgroup 1. So just keep an eye on that. But the thing here, I guess too, is that if the market does trade above the 120 and then comes back and finds it as a retested resistance by putting the first low below the level, then that gives you the catalyst to, to move this up into this space here. And just remember too, you got to kind of think of the other side here. If we'd be looking at wave one, because to get the worst case scenario that you'll need to face, if you start shorting down here like too late, you got to look for a 60% retracement level, to come back on you at that point. So looking from this low with all of these stocks to that high, take the high and the low and look back for 61.8%, and then try to figure out where you're going to, because you're going to get in here, you're going to have to sweat it out, and that's not such a good thing. So getting in some positions here and doing nothing while this goes on, or selling and getting back in, but getting back in and getting back out again, in and out, is you need to practice that. So it's just like you're washing the dishes, but it is a bit of a struggle for young players. Alrighty, so Amazon here, so it's perked up quite well, so it's highly likely it's going to get to its 61.8%. So between 10 and 20 here, we've got the levels, sub-levels of 1, 2, 3 to make up group 1. 5 is the midpoint, and then we've got 8 here. When we talk about 8, we talk about group 2, so we can go 16, 11650, and then the 72 in there. So that will all be in group 2 area there. So shorting quite close to that 18 would be quite nice, and then sort of building in over this side for that. We could put this, what have we got here with this? Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, when I turn these boxes green, it doesn't mean, to have a huge bet on it or anything like that. Just put a very small bet in. I mean, look, everybody's different. I just like to get it myself. I just like to get about at least four positions in at different prices and manage each one of those positions with, minimal risk. So I'm not. It's all about managing your exposure, So Meta here. I just changed this count a little bit here. Just felt right to do that. So I had wave 4 over here and stuff, but I've got this here as well, the ABC for wave 4 here, then 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, the fourth, and the fifth for 1, the A, the B, and the C back here. So yeah, you could short this as well. I mean, this area through here is going to be the consolidation. I mean, it's where the supply, it's where the resistance is. Spit it out, boy. Yeah, so that's all good at that point. And obviously, look to short here, and when the B wave comes in, you can look to short that. But if you're going to short the B wave here, you wait for this level over here, the 130, and look for a classic trading levels pattern over here. And then also too, if it does, if it does come down here further and then move up and hits this supply here, then once it comes down again here, that will be wave 1, and you'll have that ABC here to be exposed. So you can, if you can identify that as being just a sharp move down, some sort of sharp move, then you can consider it wave 1 and just short the 50-60% retracement level back here for that, or under wave B here. And see, then you start getting in this position, this one, and this one, and each one you've done kind of safely. So you've got some positions in here. So then you can, once you've got the next 5 waves down, so 3, 4, and 5 here, that would make wave 1 of wave 3, and then you'd have wave 2. So then you're back over here again, and because you've already got some pocket money here already, then you can make some bigger bets on these ones over here into the third of the third, because this will be wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so on. So yeah, just give it, it takes practice, and it doesn't always work, doesn't always pan out nicely, and it's easier said than done. I understand all of that, but anyway, just give it some thought, and sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't, but you're always learning in the right direction, which is the important thing. Netflix, so yeah, I'll just sort of change this around a little bit, and I'm going to look at, I don't think it's got time to make new lows or anything, but I'm going to look at this here, all of this move up here as the A wave, and then a B wave back here, and then a C wave up here, and then collapsing at that point. So a bit of a different sort of pattern here. So yeah, I've got the A wave here, the B wave here, and the C wave over here. I might need to bring the B wave over here, but I've got kind of a little 5 waves in here, which I like. Then an A and a B and a C, not a very nice C wave, so that's my weak spot in the count. And then wave 3, 4, and 5 for 1, A, B, C for 2, and then down from that point. So yeah, that's where that is. Enphase, so we have made a new low here, so I'm looking at it a little bit differently. So if we think of what the indices are going to be doing, they're in a bit of a rally at the moment, so we could get a rally, and then they're going to come down again in in wave 3, 4, and 5. So we may end up coming down here again in this. This here looks a little bit corrective. So it looks like we'll get some sort of ABC here, and then we're going to be coming down. So we've got to find this low here, how far we come down. I'm not too sure, but we're already sort of very close to the 38.2% retracement level for this wave 4. I'm looking at this here as we had it as an A and a B, and we've had it as 1 and 2 before, and all the rest of it. So yeah, we might need to expand this down even a little bit further. There could be 2 more humps down here, actually. Could be something like that before we see that B wave go back up. So anyway, all the markets need to finish off, and then they need to have a move up, and then they'll be having another move down at that point. So, but this particular stock needs to sort of hold here at this stage. So anyway, not ready at this point. And Tesla. So with Tesla here, I've got wave C up here, but it can also be wave 2 based on that actually being the high at that point. So we could look at this as 1 and 2, and then down here it would need to be 3, and then we'll have wave 4 back. Or otherwise we're going to look at it all as wave 1, and it will finish when the rest of the stock market finishes. So it'll probably be down further at 190, 180. We'll see how it treats this area here, but yeah, and then it's going to have this, in one way or another, once all these markets finish. So this will have, it'll be something like this anyway, and then it'll have a larger move up here. This is where we can look to short it. All the markets will be doing this too, do you know what I mean? Like on the S&P and the NASI and all the rest of it, we're just looking down for these to finish, and then we've got a decent move up, and then we've got a bigger move to come to the downside. So in the bigger picture here for Tesla, really, if we look at this at, just put this on 200 and go to 50k ticks, just to sort of, because it's a slightly different sort of pattern for this. And it's not going to be a straight line either, so we can get rid of that. As I mentioned before, all of this, all around the 200 here is going to be a bit tricky, but in a nutshell, we'll be looking at it. We need this we'll either have wave 1 down here, or we'll look at this as 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 and 5. But either way, when this comes down here and finishes off, we're going to have some type of correction here, some reasonable size. And all the S&P and all that will be doing that, and then we'll be coming down again at that point. So really, as I've mentioned before, it's really, with all the markets, it's this side over here that we're looking for. This could be an A and a B and a C down here as well, by the way, but because this has been working in 3 waves, so anyway, it could be in 5 waves as well. Anyway, we'll chip away at it, but yeah, look, we've talked about short trades in here and coming down to close to 200. Like, we didn't quite make lows here, so just make a note of that. I mean, we probably will this time, and it's not a big deal, but the 200 is really those trades that we've had in all through up here. That's, you know, that's the target area down here. But still, you know, you can still wait it out. So like with the S&P here, we'll just count down as 1 and 2, and then we go 3, 4, 5 down, and when we get to the 5, you need to be out of all your shorts. That's about the size of it. So you might get down to 190, 180, but it'll be a bit of a rough journey amongst all of that. Okay, so Google here, just pretty simple count. So we've got the from wave 4, same as the S&P. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for wave 1, and then the A, the B, and the C. We can short it at the close to the 100 here. Great number to short at, because it will, you know, it'll be it's like a fly hitting a rock, you know. So, and we've got 5 waves down here, so we can short in the box. We can short this low here. We can bring that up to the B wave here. We can put this on an angle through here. We're also working with group 2 here as well. So yeah, so you want to be shorting as each one of these become the resistance. You want to be adding little short trades onto those. When it does hit here, it'll come down in 5 waves back down to this area here, and then it'll have a bounce off that in 3 waves. So you can also short the 61.8% and then go down at that point again. So it just depends if you're going to be there to manage your risk. That's all, you know. Microsoft. So Microsoft is a little bit like NVIDIA in that it's a long way to get home here at the 50-60%. Do you know what I mean? Look, it could do it, but you know, I haven't looked at these here. We may have wave A in, and we may be looking at wave B here. I don't know. It just looks a little bit small for this one. I mean, it looks like this structure. And look at my push up. This might just be wave 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, and 5 here for this. And then have wave A here, and then wave B here. But, you know, some of these stocks are already moved up quite strongly already, you know. So I just don't think that's the case. I mean, it could be. But this would be one of the stocks to short because it's weak, you know. And it's, you know, covering good ground to the downside. And also what you notice here as well is that there's no real severe rallies in all of this, you know. It's all very minimal. So this is a good one to short, really. Just about how high it comes back up here. So I think that, you know, when you see the Nasdaq and the S&P, you know, getting in, if say with the S&P here, we've got the, you know, let's assume that A wave is in here and we're in B wave at the moment, and then we get up into wave C up here, then have a look at, you know, where the Nasdaq is and the S&P and stuff, and then think to yourself, well, look, it's probably going to be around here somewhere, the 233 to 235. Then you can start like peeling in positions there, you know, and then under the 230 and so on, you know, and just keep building into the downside, because there'd be a nice safe. This is, you know, there's no real severe rallies in this, so it makes it nice and easy. We don't want to short this one. I mean, it will come down, but it's kind of a perky chirpy sort of stock. It's not the weakest, so but at the same time we can see, look, it's probably close to having that top in. I mean, we're at the end of the session now anyway, coming into the end of the session, but we'll be looking for that B wave and then the C wave here. And with all the stocks, in case I've made a mistake and we've got an A and a B and a C here, a bit sharp for a C wave, I have to say. Sharp waves like this normally are wave A, rather than wave C, rather, you know, but yeah, we'll see how that sort of plays out. But once again, if you wanted to short, you can just draw a line in the sand or under wave B here, definitely under here. This is all of minor group 2 here. These 265, 272, and so on. So short under here, well, once this becomes the resistance, it'll let go of that. Once it lets go of this, it'll just drop to 250 quite quickly. It'll move hit between these two pretty fast, you know. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so block. So it's the same thing here as well. We've got this is all a little wave 1 to this point, and then we've got the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave to move up. Probably not as high, but you never know. And then we'll be going down for 3, 4, 5 here. So down into the 48 to 45 area, I guess, at the end of the day. It won't leave this number too much here. I don't particularly like shorting into big numbers like this, and 5 is the second strongest number. It's, you know, you can see that this never landed on 5 here, so you know that there's, you know, strength in this number here somewhere. But anyway, that's where it all is at that point. So yeah, pretty much like the rest of the markets, we've got 5 waves coming down, and we're going to be coming back to the 50-60%, and then we're going to be going down again. So we could probably look at this as being another wave 1 here and 2 here, and then down at that point. Okay, so over to the banks. We'll have a look at the 3 banks that we normally look at, but I won't look at this one or Goldman's in detail. We'll look at the Bank of America in detail. We don't need to do all 3 of them. But in the bigger picture here, we're looking at, from here, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. So by all means trade the 3rd wave here, make some money out of that. If you make some money out of that, then just leave the 5th wave, and then we'll focus on this leg over here that is the one that we want. I don't know what will cause this here, but there'll be some news to fit it, of course. But really it's just it'll be a letting go of this number here. But anyway, that's where that is, and the same for Goldman's here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one hasn't made a new low down here, you know, where Morgan's have. So Morgan's is one of the weaker ones, so that would probably be the better one to short over this one, rather. Do you know what I mean? I would rather, you know, I mean, this one here has already made new lows, so it's kind of the leader to the downside, you know. So you don't want to trade the strong ones, you want to trade the weakest bank you can find, basically, you know. I don't know all the banks in the US, but I'm sure that there's you know, these 3 are probably the strongest, but the weaker ones are what you want. Yeah, so anyway, this is Goldman's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1, ABC for 2, and then down again. Pretty sort of simple on that note. And so picking it up from this wave 4 here, when we look at BAC, so BAC, we don't need to look at 1, 2, 3, we're just looking at 4 and down here. So that's just where we're picking it up from. So wave 4 over here. So we've got 1, 2 here, all of this mess down here for 3, 4, 5 here, and then we've got the ABC pattern. So it looks like the A wave wants to be in there, but I'm not sure if it is. It could be one more little high here. It doesn't really matter. You still need the B wave and then the C wave here. Will it get back up to the 50-60%? I don't know, but certainly get a short position in that space. For that, I would personally just drop that down a little bit here. I mean, it might, you know, it's not a big gap filler, but it might, you know, it might just come back up to the wave 4 here. You know, it's going to struggle leaving the 30, really, you know, coming back up here. So, and also too with these things, you know, once one of the things you can do is that the length of wave A here, and it might be longer yet, we don't know, I don't know, I haven't pulled all that apart, I said, then you can get the same length over here, because normally there's some sort of equality in corrections between A and C. If not, you can add another 60% onto C to get another target, and that will probably leave you about right. Once again, first step is to, you know, if anything weird happens, you need to be short under there at that point. It will be messy around the B wave here because it's also around 30. Anything with a 0 on it or a couple of zeros like this carries weight. You know, it's a sticky number. And yeah, I just don't think, you know, all of this here is going to be, you know, this is going to be all of this in here really. That if you take the high and the low, well, the way you can do it is that just fine. You got to with corrections and that, you just got to find the balance of everything. So if you just took this high, that low, and this high here, and then look at the 50% in here, that would be there, and then you can just gravitate. So that will be the 30-70 in here. So that's really that's the number that you're looking for really in that space. And then when you do that, you know that you're in group 2 at that point. You know 31 is the first minor level, so we can give that a bit of definition. And then after that, you've got group first between 30 and 31, you've got 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. So we can put in the 50 here, that's going to be important. And then we got group 2, so group 2 is 80. And then the other part of group 2 is 65, so 30, 65. And then this 70 that we were looking at, would move that to 72. So that's that's going to be a sticking point in that within group 2 here. So that's probably where the short trade will come from. But just have a look at where the S&P is and so on, you know. It looks like the B wave starting now, so that's where there's just the sell-off really from the close. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.